I got to see the James Island Trojans
even more agents. How am I different? I served 20 plus years as a coach and teacher. And I'll find you the best and most affordable coverage to fully protect you, your family, and your business. I'm always available to my clients, who I get to know as friends. I can help with personal insurance, like your homes, vehicles, or boats, your commercial, for business owners. And it doesn't matter how big or small your company is, I want to help. So when you think about insurance, think of me, David Jolly, of the Higgins & Halloran Insurance Group. Online at higginsandhalloran.com or give me a call at 803-850-0054.
Fran Halloran here. Now listen closely to what I'm about to say. I'm a business owner, and many of you listening right now, you're business owners as well. The first rule in owning a business is this: don't waste money. I see business owners waste their marketing dollars all the time. Not me. I figured out a long time ago that spending my marketing dollars at the point was not only intentional, but extremely profitable as well. If you're a small business owner, you owe it to yourself to sit down with Kevin Cohen and ask him to create a custom marketing plan for your business. He's looking for folks just like you who believe in local to partner with him in 2023 and beyond. Trust me when I tell you, partnering with The Point works. You will see results, and your marketing budget will no longer be wasted. Give Kev a call at 803-563-8558 and tell him the Money Coach sent you.
It's that time of year again, the time where hunters absolutely celebrate. If you're an outdoorsman, oh, this is your month. There's no better place to start your hunting season than over at Shooter's Choice on Sunset Boulevard in West Columbia. The staff is made up of hunters. Yes, they actually love to get out themselves and hunt, just like you do. So let these experts help you get your hunting package all put together. We all know that ammo really matters, and it's still going to be hard to find at times, so please don't waste it. Let Shooters get you a new scope to help you with accuracy and not wasting that precious ammo. Shooter's Choice has a super scope sale going on this month. Maybe it's time to get that new rifle for the hunt. Shooter's Choice has a monster, huge selection. So what are you waiting for? The hunt is on. Online, it's shooterschoicesc.com, or make a visit. Come on in. Go see him. Sunset Boulevard, West Columbia. Make it your first choice. Your best choice. Make it Shooter's Choice.
Okay, we're back on the high school football scoreboard here on the Sports Talk Media Network, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. Back to our reporters in just a second. Want to bring David Shelton back into the conversation about Myrtle Beach and Camden, and that was a pretty solid whipping the Bulldogs put on the Seahawks. What did you take away from what you heard from Lane, and where do you think these two teams are headed this year?
Well, Myrtle Beach is coming off the first losing season under Mickey Wilson. They won 5 games last year. They are young, and obviously you can't turn the ball over against a team like Camden, who will just make you pay. The final score is probably not indicative of the separation between the two teams if you take away the turnovers, but you can't take away the turnovers. So I think Camden's really good. I think Myrtle Beach will still find a way to compete. I mean, you gotta love the track record that Mickey Wilson has at Myrtle Beach. It's just going to take, it's just going to be one of those years like last year. They're just young, and now they are a little veteran on defense, but that offense is young. A lot of new faces on that offense.
All right, a couple of other final scores of interest, and then we'll get back to our reporters. Gray Collegiate does defeat Christ Church tonight, 49-21. And also, this had to be a thriller. Hopefully we'll get a report. Greenwood beats AC Flora 24-23. That's a pretty big win for the Eagles, is it not, considering their kind of up-and-down season of last year and what AC Flora has been recently?
Yeah, I mean that's a good win. I mean that's a quality week 0 win. You beat a team that contends for the state title pretty much every year, that's something Greenwood can build on. And I was watching that, following that on Twitter, kind of as the game was going on, and I think they led pretty much the entire game. So I don't think it was a fluke. I think Ace and Flora made it close at the end.
How about Gray's win over Christ Church by 49-21 count?
Well, I tell you, Gray has been in the news a lot this week with the appeal process about people forfeiting, and if they keep beating teams 49-14, there might be more forfeits. But that's a quality win. Christ Church is defending Class A state champ. That's a big win for Adam Holmes and that bunch, and hopefully they'll get to play, 10 games this year. But there is already some talk that a couple of people are going to forfeit against them in their region, so we'll see.
All right, back to our reporters out in the fields tonight. Let's find out how the Sumter Gamecocks did. Of course, last year, fantastic season, terrific defense for Sumter. Came up a little short in the playoffs. Great to have the voice of the Gamecocks, the Sumter High Gamecocks, back with us again for another season. Bruce McNeil. Bruce, good evening, sir. Welcome back. Tell us about your game tonight.
Well, Phil, it's great to be talking to you again. The number 3 would be the operative number of this game tonight. We had 3 safeties. Senior quarterback Pate Merchant threw for 3 touchdowns, and junior running back John Peoples ran for 3 touchdowns. Sumter, big win at Lakewood, 53-8.
Wow. So, again, early, bigger program than what they were playing, but the defense apparently picking up where they left off last year. Do you see some similar signs to what you saw last year?
Yeah, Coach Barnes even talked about being probably even not as big as last year, but a lot of team speed. They've got a lot of defensive players that were on, a big part of last year's success are back, and they were flying all over the field. This is a new team. Willie Offord is the first-year coach here, had a lot of success at Gray Collegiate. He's got work to rebuild this program, but I think he's the right guy. They're really young and very undersized, and Sumter only gave up 2 rushing first downs the whole game. It's funny, Lakewood started the game with an 85-yard kick return. D'Angelo Mack took it all the way, and Sumter answered, and then a couple of safeties later, and Sumter got 2, and Lakewood got 1. I've never seen a game with 3 safeties.
Okay. And Sumter's had this run of defensive players in particular. I think back to Justice Boone, and then I think back to the young man who was there and then left to transfer out. Montague Rames ended up at Manning last year, and others. And it looks like they've got another up-and-comer, Anthony Addison, defensive end. What do you see in him? What impresses you about him?
You saw his number all over the field. He was on some special teams plays. He's a real force. And, he really came on about halfway through last season, started playing a little bit more, just makes plays, forces issues. He turns outside plays back in. He comes from the inside out and runs guys down. You can see he is definitely another good player in that long line of defense. Coach even said defensive back Jerron Bennett is probably their most legitimate D1 prospect this year. And really, none of the DBs was tested tonight. It just wasn't a match for them. It's a young quarterback and a young offensive line for Lakewood. And they have Cedric Cisse, the younger brother of Brandon, who's a lot of their offense, but they kind of neutralized him tonight, too.
What's up next for you?
Let's see. We have from Columbia next week. The Ridgeline?
Ridgeview? Is it Ridgeview?
There we go. I'm in the moving parking lot yet here, so don't have it. Yeah, Ridgeview will come to Sumter next week for the home opener, so that'll be a good test and different style, obviously.
You're like a coach. You never look past the game you've got right now. You ask a coach his schedule, he can't recite it to you. All he knows is the next one on the list.
That's right. Yeah, one game at a time,
Well, thank you so much. Great weekend to you. We'll talk to you next week, and terrific start for the Gamecocks. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Phil.
Thank you. All right, Bruce McNeil. David, Sumter High, they've been knocking on the door. Is this the year they break that ceiling? They go all the way? What do you think?
Well, I don't know about all the way, but I think they're going to be in the hunt as they are every year. It's going to come down to, can their offense maintain and score points? I think that's been an issue, not a bad issue, but that's what's kind of prevented them in recent years. Their defense is always good. With Coach Barnes, they're going to be good on defense. And if they can get they got some touchdown passes. This is a game they should win and win the way they did. But they'll have Oceanside coming up, and Ridgeview will have a little better athletes than Lakewood had and a little more experience. So it's just a matter of them building through the season and staying injury free. But Sumter's going to be year in and year out one of those double-digit win teams, and we see what happens in November. But they're going to be around, of course.
A few more finals. Fairfield Central beat Carvers Bay 41-0. Pillion over Bethune-Bowman 22-8. Lexington defeats West Florence 17-7. West Ashley edges Lower Richland 23-20. Cardinal Newman over Trinity Collegiate 42-12. Final there, Saluda 42-10 over Mid Carolina, and Newberry has defeated Union County 47-20. Back out into the fields we go. Appreciate everybody calling in with these reports. They're fantastic. Ian Guerin joining us from along the coast. Not sure which coastal team, Horry County team, he took in tonight, but he'll tell us and fill us in as he comes to us from the South Carolina Prep Red Zone, SC Prep Red Zone. Welcome, Ian. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, Corn. How about you?
We're doing terrific, and congratulations to you and your guys and what you have developed over the last couple of years across the state with your network of high school reporters covering high schools and games across the state.
Go full bore and see what we could do, and we're really enjoying it. And having 6 of us across the state, we're getting to see a lot of different kids every week. And tonight, I was at that Myrtle Beach Camden game, which I think Lane Harris already called. I went to that game in particular not expecting that I knew what was going to happen or anything like that, but I certainly wasn't surprised by that result because walking around on the field in pregame, Camden doesn't have a lot of height, but they got some big old dudes. And, it starts with Grayson White at quarterback. This is a kid who at 255 pounds back in the spring won the 260-pound weight competition for the state tournament. He's listed at 240. He said he was probably closer to 250 tonight still. He said he went on a cruise and it didn't do him any favors, which, welcome to middle age, kid. That's what we call a big dinner. So, I was really impressed with him because, I've seen the big numbers. I've watched, hours of film on this kid, but, when he doesn't even need to step into a throw. He was on about the 35-yard line tonight. He's running across his body, running across the field to his left. He throws the ball across his body and he airmails a receiver 5 yards in the back of the end zone. Without even trying. The ball traveled 45 yards in the air. And, I think that's just a kid of his size and strength. He just bends physics to, kind of fit his needs. And, he had a play tonight, one of his 3 rushing touchdowns where it was supposed to be a handoff. Him and Avery Hickman run into each other in the backfield, and then there's 3 Myrtle Beach defenders on top of him. Grayson rips the ball out from Avery's, stomach, tucks it underneath, and pushes the entire pile into the end zone. You cannot do that unless you are as strong as an ox. He also made a couple deep throws tonight. He had one to Aiden Harriet late, another one to Jaquarius Morant. If the kid wants to throw the ball 50 yards in the air, he can do it. And, there just aren't a lot of quarterbacks like him because there aren't comparisons that size. I mean, there were a lot of Jared Lorenzen comments in the press box tonight. He's not left-handed, but otherwise, it's that same thing. It's pure strength. It's football knowledge. He can put the ball where he wants to, and that makes Camden very, very dangerous, for the rest of the year. I think in a couple weeks when they play Hartsville, another team that is very, very physical on defense and is getting a lot better on that side of the ball and can also break off 50 points a game like they started to do middle of last year. That's going to be a very, very good matchup, and I think that's going to be very telling about both teams because, right now, both of those teams in 3A and 4A are at or very, very close to the top of my list for the favorites in those two classifications.
Well, great start for Camden. That's an impressive win. Anytime you do, I know Myrtle Beach is kind of rebuilding and young, but Myrtle Beach, that name still has some gold to it. And you beat them like that, you've done good work, especially on the defensive side.
Well, and I think the big thing with Myrtle Beach, they're starting a quarterback in Gibson Goodrow who didn't even play football last year. He was a baseball player, and he came back out for football, and he won the job. And I'm not saying that Myrtle Beach is completely depleted in the quarterback market, but, two of their kids who played quarterback transferred to Atlantic Collegiate. Neither one of them was probably going to be the starter. So behind, Goodrow, who's a junior, they've got a couple of sophomores and kids that don't have experience, and you throw them up against Camden, and Camden had 5 turnovers tonight. And it could have been 6. There was another one as the horn sounded at the end of the game, and the refs just kind of blew it off. It was a fumble, but the game was over. So when you have that kind of a defense, and you got a linebacker who like Wilson Nash. They've got a defensive back in Jordan Krim who had an interception on Myrtle Beach's first 2 defensive drives. By the time it hit halftime, they had 4 picks from 3 different players. They had a fumble return for a touchdown. I mean, that's tough to put any quarterback in his first football game in 2 years out on the field and say, hey, go try to win this game for us. Yes, he made some mistakes, but he also took some huge hits and popped right up like nothing happened. I mean, he's not a big kid. He's probably about 155 pounds, and he had a couple of shots that he took from the Camden defense that probably knock a lot of kids out for a week or two. So they'll get better. He's got receivers. He's got a lot of them. John Simmons is back. Latrell Griffin had a big night. They've got 2 sophomores who are 4.45 guys. I mean, come on. Eventually things will click a little bit, but against Camden, it was just too much to ask.
Ian, as always, we appreciate it. Tell folks where they can find y'all's stuff on Twitter and on the internet.
Yeah, it's PrepRedZoneSouthCarolina.com, and I'm going to say this, and only tonight, we do have a 50% off fire sale. It ends at midnight tonight Central Time. So you got about 2 hours if you're interested in saving a bunch of money and reading the best high school football content statewide. PrepRedZoneSouthCarolina.com. Go on there, poke around a little bit. You'll see the sheer amount of content. And if you want to subscribe, there's an offer code. It's PRZSC50. Prep Red Zone 50. Okay, if you use that tonight, 50% off any of our subscription models.
Thank you, my friend. Good luck. We'll talk to you next week.
Absolutely. Thanks, Corn.
Thank you. Ian Guerin, before we hit the break, I want to get this report on because it's from a big, big game. And if Sam is still with us, we'll bring him up. Sam Albuquerque from the Greenville News and the collection of newspapers in the upstate covering high school sports and high school football. And Sam was covering tonight the South Point and Spartanburg high school game. And let's find out what happened there. Sam, thank you for joining us. Appreciate it. How are you?
Yeah, doing great. Thanks for having me. I'm glad I get to be a part of the program once again.
We really appreciate it. Well, tell us what happened. We're in the dark about this one.
Yeah, so South Point wins this 116-14. It was a difficult matchup to watch early on. Spartanburg specifically is the team I'm more familiar with, given that I'm up here in the upstate and South Point and Rock Hill, obviously. They're a very young team this year, so they're replacing most of their offensive line, their starting quarterback, their starting running back, I think 3 of the 4 starting receivers, and they're a very spread out oriented team. So you see a lot of receivers out there, and there was a lot of talent, but these are young players, and early on you could see it really on the Spartanburg side. South Point struggled a little bit too, but a lot of flags, a lot of mental errors, and then the second half comes, and then I think South Point was up 10-0 at that point. They come down. It's a really pivotal play in the game. They come down to the red zone within, I think, the 5-yard line. It's 4th and 1. South Point's going to go for it. And then there's a flag, pushes it back to 4th and 6. Next drive, they kick the field goal, go up 13-0. Spartanburg comes back to next drive, scores 13-7, and the game really kind of moved on from there. It was really exciting, and it came down to a third down stance on Spartanburg side. They stop South Point. They get the ball back, and it's 4th and it turns into a 4th and 23 for Spartanburg. And unfortunately for the Vikings and the people up here in the upstate, they get sacked and don't convert, and South Point kneels the ball and runs out the clock. But it was a really interesting game for a lot of different points on both sides. And so, it was a lot of fun if you knew that it was going to be a little sloppy early on, which I expected. So it was definitely an interesting one for us here.
Oh, absolutely. And, South Point gets a great win. Tough loss for Spartanburg, but that's the kind of game where you play a quality team really close to the wire. You take the loss, but you probably feel like you learned something from it and you can grow from it. Exactly.
And that's been Mark Hodge, the Spartanburg head coach, his message since I talked to him in the offseason. He said to me, I want to say a couple weeks before, their first practice is that we're 6 months away from being good. We just have 3 months to get there. And with this sort of youth is really interesting because, you could see the glimpses of talent. A guy that's going to be on everyone's radar. And I'm telling you, every single person in the state is, that is interested in high school ball will know this name soon. Justin Rice, a junior wide receiver. He's phenomenal. You can see the talent there. You can see the talent with their new quarterback, Tamaje Johnson, goes by TJ. He reminds me a lot of a Kyler Murray type, of shorter, thicker kind of quarterback who can, win on his feet, but has an arm that just, is lights out. You look at a guy, Calvin Choice, who didn't play tonight, and I don't expect him to play next week, but he's a Swiss Army knife. He's going to play running back, receiver, safety, defensive back. He's already got an offer from Coastal Carolina. So it's a really talented but really young team, and they had lots of moments. And the story I'm working on for the Herald Journal and Spartanburg is really sort of that that Al Pacino any given Sunday speech. That inch, it was if a flag doesn't go their way, if a touchdown catch doesn't get called back, if they hit the field goal, these are all things that determine the win. And Mark Hodge said so in our post-game conversation. He pointed out these moments that really were the difference between them going home with a W or losing. And this young team knows they're close. And from what I'm hearing from my sources around the program, this is a really good bunch of kids, mentally and they do the right things. And so I expect them to be one of the better programs when it's all said and done here this year.
Great stuff, Sam. Really appreciate it. We'll catch you next week from the top game in the upstate that you'll be at, and we really appreciate the time. Talk to you then. Sam Albuquerque from the Greenville News, and I would imagine his stories pop up in the Spartanburg paper and the Anderson paper since they're all together, and I love the last name, Sam Albuquerque, except I'd hate to have to go through life spelling Albuquerque. But a great report, and we'll be back in a moment.
Major Billy Downer here from the Department of Natural Resources, and DNR is excited to announce the implementation of Go Outdoors SC, a new online licensing and boat titling system that you can access right from your phone. Through this new system, customers can purchase their hunting and fishing licenses, renew their boats, apply for lottery hunt opportunities, and complete electronic harvest reporting requirements. For more information, visit Go Outdoors SC at your local app store.
If you're looking to stay hydrated this summer, turn toward a southern favorite, sweet South Carolina watermelons. One slice is equivalent to a glass of water and is just as effective as sports drinks for hydration. If you don't believe us, you can ask the Palmetto State's top football teams. The SC Watermelon Association will be serving up slices after summer practice to keep our teams fueled and hydrated. Visit scwatermelon.org for all the details and look for ripe South Carolina watermelons in your hometown.
Attention high school sports fans. Are you an armchair official? You know, the parent or fan who constantly yells at the referees and loves to let everyone know just how bad you think they are. Well, if you think you could do better, then get in the game and prove it. It's time for you to suit up and make the calls where they actually count. Every sport in South Carolina needs more officials. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
We are back on the high school football scoreboard, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. And the folks who are on the lines, please hang on. We're tight up against the top of the hour break. I don't want to have to cut you off and interrupt your report. So those of you holding, Charlie, and let's see, who else do we have? We have Charlie, James, we have Chris Bergen. He ain't going anywhere. You guys hang on. We'll come to you right after the break. Quickly, David, as we hit the top of the hour break, from that run of reports and scores that we just went over, what's your take? What struck you?
Well, we pretty much talked about Camden, and that was, we talked about Sumter. I do have a couple of scores you might want.
Okay.
But people have texted me. St. John's Christian beat King's Academy 41-18. And Northwood Academy ended a 29-game losing streak, their first win since 2019.
Ooh.
They beat Greenwood Christian 28-26. Johnny Waters, who won 2 state titles at First Baptist, is the new head coach at Northwood. And so they ended their losing streak. And Cane Bay defeated defending state champ Beaufort 29-10.
Was that a shocker?
No. I mean, I thought it would be a close game. It was 10-10 going in the fourth quarter. Cane Bay was able to pull away late, but I expected it to be competitive.
Okay, hang on, David. Guys, holding on, hang on. We'll get to you right after this top of the hour break on the high school football scoreboard.
ThePointRadio.com.
The Point.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107. The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Tasha Stevens. Hillary remains a powerful Category 4 hurricane in the Pacific as it makes its way towards Baja California. The hurricane's already prompted the first ever tropical storm watch for Southern California, and it is expected to weaken before it hits the coast and areas of the southwestern U.S. The storm will likely bring heavy rain and flooding to the region. The United States, Japan, and South Korea make a new series of agreements.
At the conclusion of the one-day summit, President Biden said he and his Japanese and South Korean counterparts agreed to expand security and economic ties.
Today, we've made history with the first ever standalone summit between the leaders of our 3 countries.
The allies also agreed to formally consult on North Korea provocations and threats from China. Greg Clugston, Washington.
A new study shows a promising procedure to treat severe injuries in one eye by using stem cells from the other. Results of the early stage research were published Friday in the journal Science Advances. They take a small biopsy from the healthy eye and then grow and expand cells and transplant them. The killing of a Maryland woman who was hiking earlier this month has now been linked to a crime in Los Angeles and the assault of a child.
Authorities say DNA evidence has linked the 2 crimes together. 37-year-old Rachel Morin, a mother of 5, was found dead after going on a hike along an old bed. Her killing is believed to have been a random attack. Police say the DNA recovered matches that of a home invasion that occurred earlier this year in Los Angeles, California, in which a young girl was assaulted. They don't know who the attacker is, and authorities released surveillance video from the California crime, hoping it brings in tips on a possible suspect. I'm Jackie Quinn.
More on these stories at townhall.com.
We all know Joe Biden isn't getting the job done and too often is making things worse.
That's conservative business leader Doug Burgum, one of America's most successful governors. Raised with small-town values, Burgum built a billion-dollar company, creating thousands of jobs. As governor of North Dakota, Doug Burgum cut taxes, balanced the budget, and helped pass term limits.
Where we come from, when something isn't working, you stop and you try something new. That's common sense. Joe Biden has got to go.
As president, Doug Burgum will unleash American energy and end Biden's inflation. He'll secure the border to stop the flow of illegal drugs. And Burgum will rebuild our military to win the Cold War with China.
Do you believe that the economy, energy, and national security are critical to our nation's future? Remember, that's why I'm running for president.
Best of America, paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. www.bestofamerica.com.
Workers have begun loading radioactive fuel into a second new nuclear reactor in Georgia.
Georgia Power Company and co-owners are transferring fuel into Unit 4 at Plant Vogtle, southeast of Augusta. The two-reactor project is 7 years late and $17 billion over budget. Unit 3 entered commercial operation on July 31st. The owners are currently projected to pay $31 billion for Vogtle. The Georgia Public Service Commission will decide how much Georgia Power customers should pay for the project. John Scott report.
A group of Chinese solar panel companies are getting around U.S. tariff laws. Commerce Department began a year-long investigation in 2022, looking at 8 companies that make their parts in Southeast Asian countries, Cambodia, Malaysia, Thailand, and Vietnam. Of those 8 companies, they found 5 that avoided tariffs by routing operations through those countries. News and analysis at townhall.com.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
Hi, this is Jennifer Coolidge. The American Heart Association says the disco song Staying Alive is the near-perfect beat for hands-only CPR. If you see a teen or adult collapse from cardiac arrest, you only need 2 steps to help save a life. Call 911 and push hard and fast in the center of the chest to the beat of the song Staying Alive. Disco is back and it's saving lives. To learn more, go to heart.org/hands-only-CPR.
Nationally supported by the WellPoint Foundation.
Ooh, you shouldn't have pressed that button. Oh. Now you get this.
This is the Founders Federal High School Football Scoreboard on the Sports Talk Media Network. Coming up, scores and reports from across the state and analysis from David Shelton. The Scoreboard is brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. Relax, you're with Founders. Now your host for the High School Scoreboard, Phil Kornblut.
We are back on the high school football scoreboard, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. Phil Kornblut up here in Chi-Town, Chicago, at our Chicago Bureau. I'm not sure they're playing high school football up here yet because school is not in session. So I'm not sure if they're playing games tonight. But we are playing games back in South Carolina. J.P. Barry at our studios, David Shelton with us from his location along the Low Country. Let me update you on final scores, and then we've got a bunch of reporters waiting. So, guys, be patient. We'll get to you in just a second. Give you some of these final scores. Chesney over Blue Ridge, 41-30. It's Crest of North Carolina beating Gaffney, 44-38. J.L. Mann, 49. Eastside, nothing. 96-28, Emerald 27, Heathwood Hall 42, Great Falls 6, Greenwood 24, AC Flora 23, Daniel 48, Greer 20, Hillcrest 55, Lawrence 9, Broome 22, Powdersville 21, South Point 16, Spartanburg 14. Newberry 49, Union County 27, Woodmont 28, Palmetto 13, Chapman 57, Woodruff 34. In the Midlands, we've got Wagner Sally 34, Allendale Fairfax 22, Clinton 50, Batesburg Leesville 27, Ridgeview 32, Blythewood 21, Brooklyn Casey 45, Harding University of North Carolina. Got that at 6. I'm not sure. Got to go back and double check that, but BC did win. I think BC won that game, if we got this down right. C.A. Johnson 32, Columbia 2, Irmo 49, Chapin 3, Crestwood 49, Richland Northeast 21. Dreer 26, Keenan 25, Gray Collegiate 49, Christchurch 21, Sumter 53, Lakewood 8, Lexington 17, West Florence 7, Saluda 42, Mid Carolina 10, Pillion 22, Bethune-Bowman 8, River Bluff 47, Lugoff Elgin 17, Strom Thurmond 21, Laney of Georgia 12, Airport 36, Swansea 2, Westwood 27, Spring Valley 7, Hunter Connor Tyler 56, Scotts Branch nothing, PD Grand Strand, Fairfield Central 41, Carver's Bay nothing, Chesterfield 32, Lee Central 6, Loris 40, Greensea Floyd's nothing, Hannah Pamplico 57, Macby 45, Hartsville 55, Conway 7, Marion 28, Lakeview 18, Camden 43, Myrtle Beach nothing, St. James 49, Waccamaw nothing, Carolina Forest 49, West Brunswick of North Carolina 20, Wilson 21, and Aner 20. In the Low Country, Bluffton 41, Beach of Georgia 6, Stall 33, Burke 2, Cane Bay 29, Beaufort 10, James Island 25, Stratford 7, West Ashley 23, Lower Richland 20. And Skeeza finals so far, Cardinal Newman 42, Trinity Collegiate 12, Prince Avenue Christian of Georgia 42, Hammond 13, St. John's Christian 41, the Kings 18, Buford Academy over Pinewood Prep 27-23. John Paul II 28, Thomas Hayward 21, Savannah Christian 49, Hilton Head Christian nothing, and Northwood Academy 28, Greenwood Christian 26. We are in the process of getting more finals and updating the scoreboard, and we'll pass those other finals along to you as we get our hands on them. David, anything from that rundown that we haven't already touched on that you want to touch on real quick?
Most of those scores were pretty expected. I didn't hear any upsets in that. The Burke Stall game was actually last night, and when we were talking about Northwood Academy ending their long losing streak, Stall had not won a game since 2018, I think, and they beat Burke last night. So a couple of long losing streaks were ended in the last 24 hours here in the Low Country.
Well, you know what? It's good for those teams to get a win and get a feel for what it's like to win, you know, after having a long losing streak. Lamar beat Hemingway tonight. Got that final score of 43-0. Ware Shoals over Whitmire, 38-28. Commerce of Georgia over Southside Christian, 14-12. That was listed as a third quarter score, so it hasn't gone final yet. Blackville Hilda 51, Calhoun Falls 6. Greenville beat Dorman 34-21. Thank you, Bob Corlew. Greenville over Dorman 34-21. Barnwell 40, Williston Elko nothing. Bamberg Earhart 41, Edisto 6. Chesterfield 32, Lee Central 6. And Abbeville all over McCormick 65-12. Oceanside Collegiate at halftime, only score we have, was leading Louisville 14-0. Loris over Greensea Floyd's 41-0. Hanahan beat Georgetown 45-34. Strom Thurmond defeats Lucy Laney of Georgia 21-12. St. Joseph's over Fox Creek 42-0. 96-28, Emerald 27. Chapman beat Woodruff 57-34. All right, let's get some more reports out, and then we'll go back over the scores and get more finals to you. Next up, as we appreciate everybody who held on, thank you so much. The big guy, Kevin Selman, voice of the T.L. Hanna Yellow Jackets. He hasn't had to talk about many losses in recent years in calling into the high school scoreboard. Let's see how the Jackets did tonight to open up the season. Well, they got the W, Kevin, but it was kind of tight.
Hey, Phil. Yeah, thanks for taking our call. It was a game of runs tonight up in Bowling Springs. Let me say the Bulldogs are much improved over the team they've had over the last few years. Started off 13-0. The Bulldogs jumped out early on the Yellow Jackets, and the Jackets fought back to take a 14-13 lead at some point in time during the second quarter. It stretched that lead to 8 by halftime, and then in the second half, the Jackets pulled away, got up by 16, and then Bowling Springs made a little run to get it back within 8 at the end and got the ball back and turned it over on downs as they tried to get it in for the tie and score in the last minutes of the game. But the most impressive stat of the night that you're going to love, the Jackets completed 2 passes for 28 yards.
Well, they've set the bar high for themselves this year.
That's right. 2 passes for 28 yards, but the Jackets did run 45 times for 395 yards, an average of 8.8 yards a carry. All 5 touchdowns come off of rushes. But it was also a game just filled with penalties. There were 18 penalties for 183 yards combined tonight. Just really slowed the game down. You expect a lot of that in the first game. But, yeah, just a sloppy game as far as penalties goes. The Jackets were led by K.D. Patterson, 13 carries, 130 yards. Bashawn Burton had 15 carries for 110 yards. And Eddie Pino had 3 carries for 66 yards. Just a big night all around for the Yellow Jackets running the football. But, that's what we're used to. That's what we do.
Concern about your defense, considering you gave up 26 tonight?
Yeah, they're a little bit soft on defense tonight. I think there's obviously a lot of room for improvement. And, I don't mean to I'm just telling you, Bowling Springs improved. They sling the ball all over the place. And we don't have time to rest because next week we play a team that's going to sling it all over the place too, and that's the Greenville Red Raiders, who won.
Oh yeah, Greenville
beat them to the friendly. Beat Dorman, right?
Yeah, they beat Dorman. That's going to be a huge game.
Yeah. Greenville comes to the friendly confines of Jim Frazier Memorial Stadium next week at T.L. Hanna. So we're looking forward to a big game next Friday night.
Well, Kevin, we will look forward to hearing from you then. Thank you so much for calling in tonight. Congratulations to your Red Sox. Enjoy sitting at home.
I was going to ask you what the Red Sox score was. I was calling the game tonight. I didn't get to see it. Could you update me on that?
Yeah, that game was rained out.
Oh, okay. That means the Red Sox didn't lose then.
Yeah, right. No, they didn't lose. I'll promise you the Red Sox did not lose. Yeah.
I got you.
I'll promise you that.
Both of them. Tough year for both of them. We'll see if they can get better.
Okay, buddy. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you. You too, Kevin Selman from up at T.L. Hanna. So they look very good once again. We'll talk with David about that shortly. But folks have been waiting. James Byrne is joining us with the report. James, you're calling in from which school?
Lucy Beckham High School down here in the Charleston Mount Pleasant area.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Fill us in on your game.
Season opener turned out great for Lucy Beckham. They took Lake Marion Gators 53-0 tonight.
Ooh. Wow. What was most impressive, the offense or the defense, or equal?
Well, honestly, it was a great all-around effort, but the offense really seemed to be doing great. The defense held Lake Marion in the backfield more than they were between the sticks, so they continuously dropped Lake Marion for losses. Probably one of the big highlights that was fun to watch had to be Graham Thomas, the kicker. He's a sophomore kicker for Lucy Beckham, and he was hitting field goals at, I believe, 33 and 38 yards, and I think he only missed 1 or 2 extra points, but did a great job. They actually handed the kicking duties off late in the game to Carter Filatico, another sophomore. But Graham Thomas really looked good out there, and the offense was really led by the running game. They didn't throw the ball a whole lot tonight. They really didn't need to. Steven Seegers, senior running back, I actually don't even have the number on how many touchdowns he scored or what his yardage was. But he was all over the field. Mason Ombris was a wide receiver who was taking short passes and making big yards. So lots of offense out there to be really proud of. And on the other side of the field, Jaden Moore, senior defensive lineman, he really carried a lot of weight out there and got some good help from Jackson Edwards, and Hank Epley was out there making tackles. Perrin Ketchen had some interceptions. Just a great all-around effort by the Bengals starting things out for the season. And Lake Marion just kind of came out there and looked like they were struggling from the word go. They had several penalties for delay of game. They just couldn't seem to find the 25 seconds and make a decision what to do with it. Didn't seem to have the depth and really struggled from the very first possession. So good win, good way to start things before they go into the Mount Pleasant rivalry game next week against Wando, and that'll be right there at District 2's field. So really looking forward to seeing that and seeing if they can carry this momentum into the second game of the season.
Hey, thank you very much, James. Great report. Look to hear from you next week.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, James Byrne. James Byrne, story on Lucy Beckham. David, Lucy Beckham, making some noise down there. What do you think about that win tonight and where they're going next?
Well, this is easily a winnable game. Lake Marion is no match for Lucy Beckham. You know, this is only their second year full season of varsity football, and they won 7 games last year.
Mm-hmm.
Jamel Smith, who was an all-state linebacker at Spring Valley and played at Virginia Tech, is the head coach there, and they play defense. And I tell you, that game next week at Wando is going to be a defensive showdown. Both those teams get after it on defense. They're big rivals, even though, you know, Lucy Beckham's only a couple years old, but it's obviously right down the road from Wando. So that'll be a big game next week. I want to throw in a couple things here real quick that I've got from the Low Country.
Mm-hmm.
Oceanside Collegiate ended up beating Louisville. 24-7 was the final.
Okay.
And West Ashley defeated Lower Richland 23-20. Jacob Adams kicked 3 field goals, including a 39-yarder to win it for the Wildcats, who start off 1-0. That was a really competitive game.
And Bob Corlew from our affiliate up in Spartanburg, Woodruff, tells us that Fountain Inn has beaten West Oak 28-0, and he said that's the first win for this relatively new Fountain Inn high school football program.
Yeah, that's their first win. I think I can't remember last year if they played a varsity schedule. I know this might be, they might not even have seniors yet. I can't remember it. That all runs together, but that's a nice win. To get the first one is always the best.
No question. Okay, before we hit the break, let's go to our man Chris Bergen, the voice of the Socastee Braves in high school football season, and the basketball voice of Coastal Carolina, the sideline voice of Chanticleer football. He's got a lot of voices, especially in his head. Bergie, how'd it go tonight?
Well, see, I'm a little disappointed because you could have squeezed me in before the top of the hour because this report's going to take about 15 seconds. David was talking defense. I'm not sure there was a game around the state that featured more defense than what we had. Socastee beat North Myrtle tonight 6-0. The only touchdown coming in the third quarter with 47 seconds left to go. A Rocco Wojcik 44-yard touchdown pass, beautiful play to Josh Brown, who got behind the secondary and walked into the end zone. Other than that, defense ruled the day. North Myrtle had a chance early in the ball game to get on the scoreboard, and they botched a snap on a field goal attempt. They also threw an interception going in for a score. Socastee on the flip side, they had it on their opening possession, drove it down to about the 1-yard line, got stopped on 4th and goal from the 1. So that should have told us something, the way the game started. that it was going to be a defensive type game, and it sure did. I'm sitting here listening to all the scores and 50 points and 60 points. We might be playing till next week to get anywhere close to that between these two because both defenses were outstanding tonight. Socastee forced only 11 turnovers all of last season. They got 3 tonight. So I'm sure Ben Hampton, the head coach of the Braves, really pleased with that side of the football because you go back to their exhibition last week down in Conway against Ainer, they shut them out. So they're 2 for 2 thus far, and they'll welcome Silver Bluff into Socastee next weekend.
Well, great way to begin the new name of the stadium. They're named after the Renfros to break that name in with a victory. I think that's apropos.
I think so as well. They could have used Hunter Renfro tonight because he would have been a big help on offense. And I blame you a little bit. I think you put a curse on me last night when we were joking about the lack of scoring in the South Carolina Clemson women's soccer match. Well, it carried over to tonight because we didn't have a whole lot much more offense in that football game tonight. But if you like old school 1970s type defense wins championships, if that's the case, and props to North Myrtle too. They've got a very good defensive front and made it awfully difficult on Socastee to move the football. They're just young and they're still without their starting quarterback, so they had to compromise a little bit offensively. But their defense was just as good as Socastee's. The Braves just made one more play.
All right, my man, Chris, we appreciate it. Have a great weekend. See you Monday night on Sports Talk, sir.
Look forward to it. Have fun in Chicago.
Yes, sir. I'd like to. I've done nothing but sleep and work, with more sleep to come. After the break, Billy Baker is going to jump on with us. He was at the Dorchester Jamboree, and he is with Somerville coach Ian Rafferty. And so we will visit with them coming up after the break. And then more reports to come as well. A complete review of all the scores, too, and more from David Shelton as we continue here on the High School Football Scoreboard, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. Back in a moment.
Hello, friends. This is David Shelton, co-host of the Friday Night Scoreboard Show with Phil Kornblue. As many of you know my story, I've lost 2 sons to drug overdoses in the past 10 years. I want to tell you about my friends at Wake Up Carolina. Wake Up Carolina is a nonprofit recovery community organization dedicated to providing awareness, promoting education, and creating hope in recovery for our young adults, individuals, and families touched by substance use through collaborative community partnerships, trusted resources, and support services in Berkeley, Charleston, and Dorchester counties. The organization relies on private donors and state funding to make sure all their resources are free and open to the public. Call them today if you know someone who needs assistance. That's wakeupcarolina.org. Phone number 843-972-8154. Don't wait until it's too late.
Football season is upon us, and that means Columbia is welcoming fans from around the corner and across the country. No matter where you're from, Gamecocks love coming together for game day energy that can only be found in South Carolina's capital city. Book hotel rooms, find pre- and post-game activities, and plan your tailgate spread with local favorites from pimento cheese to barbecue at experiencecolumbiasc.com. We'll see you soon, and go Gamecocks!
Okay, rolling along on this Friday night. Let's head down to the Low Country. Billy Baker of the High School Sports Report is standing by with a hot call. When Billy has a hot call, we know it's something important. He was at the Dorchester Jamboree, and he's got a coach standing by for us. Billy, what you got? Okay, Billy, talk to us. Do we have Billy? JP? I hear nothing. Hello, Billy, are you there? Toot, 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 loop. JP, what we got, man? Have we got Billy, or are we going somewhere else?
We did have Billy, but now it was just blank, so I'll call him back. We can go to someone else.
Okay, let's go to, how about Charlie Long? Is Charlie still with us? Charlie, are you there? On the Union County game? Charlie, are you with us, sir? Mm-hmm. JP, we lost our callers. Do we still have David? David, are you still there? Sounds like we've wiped out the phone slate. Okay, that's all right. We'll reorganize. In the meantime, I'll give you some scores. Once again, let me find some fresh ones here that we have not yet mentioned, perhaps. Ben Lippen, 62, Asheville Christian, 54. It was 45-6, Brooklyn Casey over Harding of North Carolina. I wasn't 100% sure on my numbers last time around, but that was it. Looking for some scores we haven't mentioned or some other ones that need to be repeated. Greenwood beat Flora 24-23. North Central over Johnsonville 28-21. David told us about Northside Christian beating First Baptist 45-42. No, that was another one he told us about. So this was different. Northside Christian 45, First Baptist 42. We've got Ridgeview beating Blythewood 32-21. River Bluff over Lugoff Elgin 47-13. White Knoll shuts out Orangeburg Wilkinson 49-0. All right. That Dutch Fork game, by the way, you might have talked about it on Sports Talk tonight. Dutch Fork at Colquitt County, Georgia. That's going to be tomorrow night. That's not a Friday game. That's a Saturday game. So Dutch Fork heading down to play one of the, well, I'm not sure how good they're the Packers, the Colquitt County Packers out of Moultrie, Georgia. Just the fact they carry the name Packers, you would think they'd be pretty good. And Dutch Fork, when they venture out of state, they usually play a pretty tough opponent. So imagine that might be a pretty good game for them, but I don't know anything about Colquitt County, to be honest with you. And let's see, Irmo beat Chapin 49-3. Looking for some others that we might not have mentioned. Woodmont over Palmetto 28-13. And this is the one David mentioned, Northwood over Greenwood Christian 28-26. Wagner Sally beat Allendale 34-22. And Lamar over Hemingway 43-0. Ware Shoals 38. Whitmire 28. Let's see. Blackville Hilda beat Calhoun Falls Charter 51-6. Bamberg Earhart over Edisto 41-6. Barnwell 40. Williston Elko 0. Chesterfield 32-6 over Lee Central. Abbeville over McCormick 65-12. Let's see here. Loris over Greensea Floyd's 41-0. Hanahan beat Georgetown 45-34. Strom Thurmond over Lucy Laney of Georgia 21-12. St. Joseph's defeats Fox Creek 42-0. 96 over Emerald 28-27. We're back after this break on the high school scoreboard.
Are there negative posts from an ex-employee or from a former client? Maybe an outdated news article or sensitive personal information about your family? Search engines don't always get it right. But right or wrong, it's your reputation on the line. That's where Reputation Defender by Norton comes in. One of the most trusted names in online reputation repair. Reputation Defender has been fixing people's search results for over 15 years. Their cutting-edge approaches help you to wipe away unwanted information in your search results. They also promote the good stuff so that it rises to the top, helping you put your best foot forward. Your good name is too valuable to leave to the whims of a Google algorithm. Take control with Reputation Defender. You can start by getting your free reputation report card at reputationdefender.com or call 800-401-6681 to speak to an expert. That's 800-401-6681.
Seal saying they hope to stop scammers who falsely claim to be affiliated with the Trump campaign while fundraising. They say some candidates have drained millions of dollars from former President Trump's donors. This is SRN News.
In theaters August 25th. Ricky, you can't play baseball. God's going to give you a higher calling.
But when I swing that bat, I eat triple no more.
Be
based on the inspirational true story.
You seen this? Major League Trials.
You're going to paralyze him. He's my son.
Dennis Quaid.
They said he would never walk and he ran. How many miracles do you need?
God has a plan for you.
It's your time, Ricky! The Hill, rated PG. Parental guidance suggested. In theaters August 25th. Buy tickets now.
Stop overpaying for wireless. There is a better way. Pure Talk saves the average family about $1,000 a year on the most dependable 5G network in the U.S. You can get unlimited talk, text, and plenty of high-speed data for just $30 a month. If you're ready to cut your wireless bill.
Fran Halloran here. Now listen closely to what I'm about to say. I'm a business owner, and many of you listening right now, you're business owners as well. The first rule in owning a business is this: don't waste money. I see business owners waste their marketing dollars all the time. Not me. I figured out a long time ago that spending my marketing dollars at the point was not only intentional, but extremely profitable as well. If you're a small business owner, you owe it to yourself to sit down with Kevin Cohen and ask him to create a custom marketing plan for your business. He's looking for folks just like you who believe in local to partner with him in 2023 and beyond. Trust me when I tell you, partnering with The Point works. You will see results and your marketing budget will no longer be wasted. Give Kev a call at 803-563-8558 and tell him the Money Coach sent you.
You are cheap. No, I'm not. You are cheap. No, I'm not. You are cheap. No, I'm not. You are cheap. Well, maybe I am. If you're buying a diamond ring for your wife, it's not cool to be cheap. If you're buying airline tickets, it's very cool to be cheap and called Trip Amigo, where you can fly anywhere in the world and save up to 75% on over 500 airlines and 300,000 hotels. Plus, rental cars and vacation packages. Visit family, friends, or go on a once-in-a-lifetime vacation. Go ahead. Be cheap. We have special fares we're not allowed to publish. When you book your airline reservations with Trip Amigo, you'll spend your travel money when you get there, not by getting there. Call Trip Amigo now and mention the travel code AMIGO and save even more. Call Trip Amigo now.
800-772-4165. 800-772-4165. 800-772-4165. That's 800-772-4165.
Well, you know why August is one of the best months of the year? Because the hunt is finally on. Every August at Shooter's Choice, well, we celebrate. At Shooter's Choice, they have the hunting experts. They have store-wide discounts for the entire month to get you ready. Looking for the perfect rifle or shotgun, but just not sure? Well, the folks at Shooter's Choice are actually shooters and hunters. Let them help. Shooter's Choice has a huge selection of hunters' rifles that are in stock and are on sale. The newest and the nicest scopes to make sure you don't miss your trophy. Hey, look, a hunter's equipment really matters. Let the experienced staff over at Shooter's Choice help you in zeroing your rifle. If you take your hunting seriously, you know this is pretty critical. They'll save you time. They'll save you ammo. It's August, and yes, it is time. Hunting season in South Carolina. Online, it's shooterschoicesc.com, or better yet, come on over on Sunset Boulevard in West Columbia. Make it your first choice. Make it your best choice. Make it Shooter's Choice.
Welcome back, everybody. It's the Founders Federal High School Football Scoreboard on the Sports Talk Media Network. Give you another final score from up in the upstate tonight. It was Catawba Ridge, very good football team, defeats Fort Mill tonight 38-14. Go back over these scores for you one more time before we sign off tonight. In the meantime, we have worked out the gremlins that hit us there a few moments ago and caused the phones to go dead. We've got everything back in order. So with that being said, we go to Billy Baker. As I mentioned, Billy Baker standing by there at Dorchester Jamboree, and I believe we have a head coach with him as well. Billy, hot call. Welcome into the high school scoreboard.
Hello, Phil and David. With Gaffney's loss tonight on the road at Cress, temporarily, Somerville moves from number 2 to number 1 with the high school sports report. Tonight, I was at the Dorchester County Jamboree, and they played 4 4 quarters of action. Each team played twice. First quarter, Somerville beat Woodland 20-6. Second quarter, Ashley Ridge 7, Woodland 0. Third quarter, Fort Dorchester 14, Ashley Ridge 0. And in the nightcap, Somerville 7, Fort Dorchester 6. Really good game. And I'll say this, David, you told me earlier this summer that you felt like Somerville might be the team to beat in the area, in 5A. They have a new strength coach, and there's a noticeable bigger, stronger, faster concept. And I think the quarterback transferring over from Hanahan, Jaden Cummins, who had several nice passes tonight. When you have Cummings throwing and Yannick Smith, the outstanding wide receiver that's in our top 100, 6'3", 200 pounds, who is an East Carolina pledge, and they've got a real good pledge in him. They'll throw the ball. Then you come back with number 34, the fullback, Trey Green, a senior, 5'11", 225. He scored a touchdown against Fort Dorchester, basically caught a pass in the flat, literally broke 3 tackles, and then hauled about 3 of them with him in the end zone. He just had the will to score, and that was a real good quarter, 7-6. But my impressions of Somerville is they're bigger, stronger, and faster than I've ever seen. They're a step faster, and depending on how Dutch Fork does on Saturday night, they could be our new number 1 team. Before I introduce Ian Rafferty, who's a 1993 Somerville graduate who held Coach McKissick on his shoulder pads when he won 406 wins at Wando, I want to congratulate David Shelton and Dennis Brunson. David Shelton is starting his 37th year with the High School Sports Report, and Dennis Brunson is starting his 40th year. If you count me, I've got about 50 years in. Between the 3 of us, it's 126 years. So I guess, David, we've got an opinion, but when you told me back in June, watch out for Somerville, I had to rearrange my schedule tonight. This is probably the number 1 team in South Carolina in 5A right now, and I don't know a team that's got a better wide receiver than the Smith kid. He was everywhere on the field. But the quarterback transfer, the kid from Hanahan coming in, gives them a deep ball threat I don't think they've had here in a few years. I've always said this, if you're going to get in the gold medal round, you're going to have a good quarterback who understands your system, who can throw the ball when you need it thrown, and he threw it well tonight. But I give you Ian Rafferty in his 4th season at his alma mater, and probably the best team he's had in 4 years. Here is Coach from his office in Somerville.
Okay, thank you, Billy. Wait for the Wolfpacker to get on with us here, former NC State. Coach, I'll give you permission to reach over and strangle Billy now since he's put the hex on you being number 1, huh? You want to strangle him now or later?
Yeah. I think there's still, there's a team not too far down the road from here that might be able to lay some claim to that, and there's definitely one in Columbia that can lay some claim to that. So we might be stretching a little bit. I think we're one of the top 10 teams in the state, but number 1, we have a chance to be there, but a lot of things have to go right. We got to get a lot better.
Oh, absolutely. I expect to hear nothing less from a coach. What did you learn about your team tonight in the 4 quarters they played?
Well, we played the first quarter. We came out fast. We did good, which I was pleased with. And we had to sit around for about an hour and a half. And actually came out and handled that adversity well. We took I think a 7-minute drive and made some big plays and some big 3rd and 4th down conversions. Then they went right back down the field on us, which I really wasn't happy with. But I think we got a deep team. We still had some kids. We had about 10 kids out tonight with injuries, illness. So we got good depth and we got very good talent. We got to bring it all together a little bit.
Where you made a big move last year. Where do you feel like you've taken a big step forward? You look at your team. Where do you think you've taken a big step forward from where you were at the end of last year in a particular area?
From where we were last year, I mean, we've done a very good job in the off season. That was the biggest thing from the first 2 years I was here to last year, and then this year we've actually had full off seasons. Our administration does a really good job here of, helping us and understand the importance of athletics. And, we have all of our kids in a football class year round. We brought in a new strength coach this summer. He's working with all the teams in our school, and that's really helped us. But just the overall talent on our team has gotten a lot better. We've developed them. A lot of these kids on our team now have been, they're 3-year starters, which helps a lot. We got a good young talent coming up too on our JV and B team. So just the overall, talent pool in our program and our strength and conditioning is second to none.
And I know if Billy mentioned this. If he did, it slipped me. Who do you open with next week?
We open with Carolina Forest. We have to go up there and play them.
Ooh, that's a nice little test right out of the gate for you.
It is. They're always a good football team, and Coach Morris does a good job, and have a lot of respect for him. And it's going to be a challenge next week. We start school on Monday. We got to get that in. It's still hot as the dickens down here, so it's hard to practice sometimes in the afternoon. And then, we got to take a 2.5-hour bus ride on Friday. So it's going to be a test. And I think they put a whooping on somebody tonight. So, they already got a game weekend ahead of us.
Well, we thank you for the time tonight. Thanks to Billy for getting you to us. Have a good week of practice. Look forward to seeing you guys unveil things next week. And thanks for talking with us.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Phil. Always a pleasure.
You too, Coach. Thank you very much. Ian Rafferty, head coach, Somerville. David, you ready to crown them number one at this stage of the, in their case, preseason, as we go into the regular season for the Green Wave next week?
I had them number 2. I think Dutch Fork is still the team to beat. I think Gaffney lost to a really good team tonight in Crest. Somerville hasn't played yet. They won a couple of scrimmages in a jamboree. So we'll see what Dutch Fork does tomorrow. But I said it all summer. Somerville is a state title contender. If they stay healthy, especially at the quarterback position, and if Yannick Smith stays healthy, they're going to be a tough out. Their defense has really good linebackers. They're pretty good in the secondary. And Yannick Smith, I'm telling you, East Carolina is getting a steal, and I have already predicted that pledge may not stick, because I think when the film gets out on him, I think you're going to see some Power 5 schools try to come and grab him, because he is a tremendous wide receiver. I mean, as good as they've had since a guy named A.J. Green, who is also a really good basketball player, and Yannick is a Class 5A basketball player of the year last season. So this guy's really good.
What's going to be the mood around Somerville when maybe in a month or so, Coach McKissick's record for national for wins, the national record for wins, probably going to be wiped out by that coach in Louisiana, Coach Curtis?
Well, Billy Baker made a great point to me the other day when we were talking about it. Mm-hmm. He said, well, that's a private school. McKissick will still hold the public school record. So he's not giving up. But, the guy wrote 2 books on Coach McKissick. So, but, Curtis, and I did some research on the Curtis guy. And, I mean, he started his own school. Mm-hmm. And they get players from all over the place. But obviously they're very successful. But, as long as McKissick's got the public school record, I think folks in Somerville will be okay with that.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. Okay, thank you, Ian, for being with us. Let's get back to our reporters. Now, Charlie Long from up at Union County with us tonight to tell us about that game, Union County and Newberry. Heck of a ball game. Bulldogs win it 49-27. Charlie, welcome in. How are you? Hello, Charlie. Are you with us, sir? Okay, we hear somebody. Is this Chris, maybe? Nope.
Hello?
Who's this?
Hello, Phil?
Yeah.
Hey, Phil, this is Thomas Grant.
Oh, hey, Thomas. Thanks for calling in.
Sir.
Way to break right in on the show. Appreciate it. What game did you cover tonight?
Yeah, I was at the West Columbia at Lexington game. I mean the West Florence at Lexington game. Last couple of years, these two teams have been in a shootout. This year was more of a defensive battle, but more so in the favor of Lexington. They came away 17-7. Lexington basically was 3.5 quarters, held them to a total of 35 yards and about 7 first downs the entire game. For the most part, West Florence could not get their offense going. They went with a 2-quarterback set with Keyshawn Johnson and Franklin Emerson, but the offensive line really was no match for Lexington defensively up front. They had 5 players who had at least 8 tackles each. They had Martel Boyd had a sack and a half. They had Matt McCauley, who had a blocked punt that set up their only other touchdown of the game in the fourth quarter on a touchdown run by by Sellers. And then the first goal was set up by Tatum Nines. He threw a beautiful 30-yard seam pass to Jonathan Rowland in the first quarter to put Lexington on the board. Then he had a 39-yard completion in the second quarter to set up the second score on a 39-yard field goal by Tyler Kelly just to make it 10-0 at the half. West Florence had one of their best scoring opportunities in the second half. They were able to take advantage of a couple of personal foul penalties by Lexington, got within the red zone, but in the red zone they ended up turning the ball over on an interception. And really, that was the end of their offense until their final drive where they went 9 plays, 65 yards. On that drive, University of South Carolina commit Kelvin Hunter had a 15-yard run to set up for the converted third down. And he also had a 19-yard reception to set up the only score for West Florence, which was a 5-yard run. So Lexington's off on of course, this was also the debut of Dustin Curtis coming back home to Lexington to get his first win. Next week they have South Aiken at home, and then West Florence will try to regroup, and they go against Lake City.
Great win for them. Is their defense going to be that good all season long? They look like the real deal?
Well, the thing is going to be a wait and see. It's going to be their linebackers are very active. I mean, they really have. I mean, you already have one guy in Christian Section who's a Shrine Bowl prospect. But he had some other guys that really stepped up tonight. Guys like Dylan Boland and also like the guy I mentioned earlier with Matt McCauley. Mm-hmm. They're very athletic in the linebacking core. Up front, they really have some guys that can really hold their own. Although the thing about what you got to take into consideration, West Florence's offensive line, and even Coach Jim Red said it tonight, is not as good as he would like it to be right now. So it's going to be a wait and see. I'd say give them a couple of games, but the thing is they have the right game plan in place. The key for them right now is penalties because they had 9 penalties to 94 yards tonight. That's really the only blemish they had on this night, and that's really what only set up West Florence's score. So the key is going to be for if that front four can keep playing, as Coach Curtis says, can play as well as they have, then if you look at that region, they could make some noise in that region this year again.
Thomas, great stuff, my man. We really appreciate it. Talk to you next week, and have a great weekend.
That's on you.
Thomas Grant. Thomas is writing for the Prep Red Zone across South Carolina. We appreciate him jumping on board with us tonight. Blackville Hilda beat Calhoun Falls 51-6. Blacksburg over Buford 42-15. Bethesda Academy of Georgia 50. Hilton Head Prep 7 50-7. And Berkeley defeats Timberland tonight. Good ball game, 36-32. We better hit our last break because we're getting up against it. Squeeze in some more calls here following the break and try to fill in some more scores in our last few minutes and get some final thoughts from David Shelton. So we got a lot to do in our last 10 minutes tonight here on the High School Football Scoreboard, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. We'll be back after this break. Don't go away.
Major Downer here from the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources. Boating season is just around the corner. To make sure that your boat registration sticker and ensure it's current. Find your registration card, make sure your life jackets are in good shape, and check your fire extinguisher as well. For more information on boating or boat titling questions, visit dnr.sc.gov/boating.
Timeout.
All right. Remember, we're a team that plays together. Listen, the winning will take care of itself. We just have to get everyone involved.
In interscholastic sports, we celebrate what makes every one of us unique. And in the pursuit of a common goal, everyone in the huddle, in the bleachers, and in the community comes together. This message presented by the SCHSL and the South Carolina Athletic Administrators Association.
If you're looking to stay hydrated this summer, turn toward a southern favorite, sweet South Carolina watermelons. One slice is equivalent to a glass of water and is just as effective as sports drinks for hydration. If you don't believe us, you can ask the Palmetto State's top football teams. The SC Watermelon Association will be serving up slices after summer practice to keep our teams fueled and hydrated. Visit scwatermelon.org for all the details and look for ripe South Carolina watermelons in your hometown.
JP puts his touch on the final break with the Fighting Irish fight song, huh? You like that, right? All right, a few more finals that I don't think we've mentioned to this point, so let me make sure I do. Chesney 41-20 over Blue Ridge. It was Carleton Prep over Florence Christian 33-23. Carolina Forest over West Brunswick of North Carolina 49-20. And let's see, Broome beat Powdersville 22-21. Good ball game there. Darlington over Central 34-20. Daniel beat Greer 28-20. Crescent over Pickens 34-14. Commerce, Georgia over Southside Christian 21-19. Hannah Pamplico beat McBee 57-52. And let's see if I can find anything else we haven't mentioned. Hilton Head over Battery Creek 39-6. Lakeside of Georgia beat Aiken 46-24. Latta over Mullins 49-12. Been waiting on that one all night. Liberty 28. Carolina High and Academy 20. Manning over King Street 24-8. Midland Valley 35. Grovetown, Georgia 21. Nation Ford 29, Indian Land 28, North Central 28, Johnsonville 21. Okay, Patrick Henry over Cross Schools 55-0. Philip Simmons 52, Andrews 28. Also Ridgeview 32, Blythewood 21. Saluda 42, Mid Carolina 10. And let's see, we did that one. Did we mention Shelby? Shelby Crest of North Carolina beat Gaffney 44-38. South Florence 54, Goose Creek 14. And let's see here. Did that one. I think we hit that one. Ware Shoals over Whitmire 38-28. And I think we got them. I think that's pretty much everybody in the state that we can put our eyes on tonight. So we do thank Charlie for getting back in touch with us. Charlie Long, Newberry, and Union County. Charlie, can you give us some details? Well, Charlie still with us, or did we lose him? Trying our best. What do you think, JP? Well, I hear nothing. So, I guess we'll move on. And
I have him. I have him in the like when I pick up the phone itself.
Mm-hmm.
But when he is put on the air,
well, you need to figure it out, and
Yes, sir.
You need to figure it out. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not there. You need to figure it out. In the meantime, you want to bring David back with us? Is David still there?
David is here.
Okay. JP, if you figure out Charlie real quick, let me know.
It's
trying.
not Charlie's night. It's just not Charlie's night.
Well, look, this is like our preseason. Okay, we're getting the kinks out. We're running in different people. We're running some different formations. We're trying some different things here. Okay.
Like every coach in the state right now is, we made a lot of mistakes tonight. We got to get better. We got to execute better. We got to clean up all the trash that we had tonight and work out the kinks. And we got to be better next week, Phil. That's all there is to it.
And we'll come back and we'll be better next week. So, Charlie or no, JP? Thumbs up, thumbs down. What we got? Thumbs down. He gives me the old thumbs down. Okay. So, David, we're going to wrap it up. And overall, general thoughts on some of the games tonight. Gaffney goes down, so that got Billy all fired up about Somerville being number one. What do you think about Gaffney? Is Crest really good, or is Gaffney going to be a little tick off this year?
Well, I know Crest is normally very good. They got a great tradition. Gaffney giving up that many points is probably a little bit of a surprise, but they're going to be able to score points. Gaffney's not going to lose many games this year. They're going to be in the hunt. So I think in the 5A ranks, Dutch Fork, Somerville, Fort Dorchester, and Gaffney, right now, I think, are a cut above. Of course, we got to see how Somerville plays next week. They didn't play tonight. But, I mean, that's what you want. You want a competitive league classification. I think Spartanburg played a very tough opponent tonight in South Point and represented pretty well, almost won the game. Keohana is always one of the 5A contenders, and they were pretty good tonight. So, we'll see. We'll let it play out, but I'm not I've never been one to put a whole lot of stock in these early first 2 or 3 games. I like to see where teams are in October, and then it kind of starts to shake itself out.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. But I'll say this. I think 2 teams that kind of made a bit of a statement tonight, and they're good teams, but I think they further solidified that. The Greenville beating Dorman by 13, and Greenwood beating AC Flora by a point. I think now you got to look at those 2 teams for sure and take notice here early on about what they did tonight.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, that we talked about it earlier. That's a good win for Greenwood because AC Flora is going to be there in the end. So to pick up that win in a close game, Greenville was trailing Dorman. They were trailing Dorman for most of that, at least all the first half that I could follow. So Greenville, but Greenville's going to be a team that can score some points. So you're going to beat them. You're going to have to match them for points, and they showed tonight that they can score enough points to beat a good quality program like Dorman.
David, enjoyed it. Have a great week. We'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good, man.
David Shelton. Billy Baker said 37 years covering high school football. That guy is old. Thank you, JP. We'll all be better next week. Thank you to Founders Federal Credit Union. Have a great night, everybody. See you Monday.
Weekdays from 7 to 9 on The Point. It's Kev and Brian in the morning. The news, the traffic 4 times an hour, and your daily forecast. Topics to